Imagine waking to the roar of bulldozers, a towering 10-foot fence encircling your family's ranch, cutting you off from the world. The HOA president, dripping with arrogance, smirks and says, "You have 48 hours to leave, or we'll drag you out." Her cronies laugh, sipping champagne as they wave forged documents. They think they've won. They don't know I'm the county land commissioner, and their scheme is about to implode. My name is Daniel Carter, and this is how I turned their laughter into ruin. I'm a quiet rancher in Willow Creek County, tending to my 15-acre spread, a legacy from my grandfather in the 1950s. It's modest, a 2-story house, a barn, and fields where I raise cattle and grow vegetables. But I'm also the county land commissioner, a role I've held for 7 years after 2 decades in land management. I keep that quiet, preferring my worn boots to a suit. My 17-year-old daughter, Emma, lives with me. She's fierce, eco-conscious, and sharp as a tack. Our border collie, Rusty, rounds out the family, loyal through every storm. My father's words echo. This land is our blood, our future. Protect it. I swore I would. The trouble started when Willow Grove Estates, a ritzy neighborhood, sprouted nearby 3 years ago. Their HOA sent letters, whining about my tractors, unsightly. Look, my roosters crowing, even the smell of my fields, land that predates their mansions. I politely reminded them my ranch isn't under their control. As land commissioner, I knew their complaints were baseless, but the rich don't take, no, lightly. One evening, Emma burst in, alarmed. "Dad, people are measuring our land and snapping photos." She tried questioning them, but they brushed her off, muttering about big changes. My gut churned. I pored over property records that night, sensing a fight brewing. A vague, menacing letter from the HOA arrived the next day, promising measures to enforce community standards. I reassured Emma, but unease gnawed at me. I called a county colleague to check for odd permits. Better safe than sorry. At dawn, machinery woke me. I rushed outside to a nightmare. A crew was building a fence along my eastern boundary, blocking the county road, my ranch's lifeline for 60 years. Rusty barked as I confronted the workers, waving my property maps. They shrugged, nodding toward a group by sleek cars. There stood Victoria Langley, the HOA president, in a tailored suit, flanked by her husband, Richard, a cutthroat lawyer, and Martin Hayes, the smug vice president. "Mr. Carter," Victoria purred, her smile venomous. "Your little farm is tanking our property values. Since you won't play nice, we've acted." She gestured to the fence like it was a masterpiece. "This will spare our residents your rustic charm." When I protested, citing the county road, she laughed, handing me papers. "We bought this road from the city. It's legal." Martin chimed in. "Your only access now is that dirt path on the west. Good luck." I scanned the documents, spotting flaws instantly, wrong dates, missing approvals, boundaries clashing with county records. As land commissioner, I knew these were garbage. I said I'd verify them, and they erupted in laughter. "Who do you think you are?" Victoria sneered. "The new land commissioner, Edward Vance, approved it all." "Too busy with your cows to notice?" Richard added. "Edward's a friend. You're out of your league." Emma, watching from the porch, trembled. "Dad, what's happening?" I gave her a steady look. "They don't know who I am, sweetheart. That's our edge." I called my secretary, Karen, to pull every file on Willow Grove. Game on. At the county office, still in my farmer's clothes, Karen and I dug into the records. The truth was uglier than I'd imagined. Edward Vance, a retired developer with 0 credentials, had replaced me via a forged resignation letter bearing my signature. 5 days ago, he'd approved selling the road to the HOA for pennies, skipping public hearings. He'd also greenlit a boundary shift, stealing a chunk of my land without surveys or notices. Karen was livid. "This breaks 6 laws." The road sale needed 60 days public notice. Then Edward walked in, blanching at my presence. "I heard you resigned," he stammered. I held up the forged letter. "Care to explain my signature?" He mumbled about a misunderstanding with Mayor Thompson and fled. We kept digging, uncovering a plot. The HOA wanted my land for expansion, promising Edward $200,000 and a villa. Richard used shell companies to buy nearby plots cheaply, banking on their value soaring. Mayor Thompson and 2 board members were tied to shady donations. It was a cesspool. I called my friend, reporter Nathan Reed. "I've got a bombshell, but keep my name out for now. Let them think I'm just a farmer." Nathan was all in. That night, Emma worried about lost income. Clients couldn't reach us. I smiled. "In chess, you sacrifice a pawn to trap the king." My plan had 3 fronts. First, I enlisted Sarah Patel, a fierce land attorney. "This is a disgrace," she fumed, vowing to sue the HOA and its leaders personally. Second, Nathan probed the shady deals, promising a story to torch their reputations. Third, I had Karen discreetly gather evidence of Edward's HOA meetings. Publicly, I played dumb, showing up at an HOA meeting in tattered clothes, pleading for access. Victoria mocked me. "Sell your farm, Daniel. It's worthless now." Martin whispered. "Edward's zoning change will crush him." I accidentally left a recorder under the table. Emma's Save Carter Ranch campaign went viral, enraging locals. The HOA retaliated, fencing off my western path, landlocking me. My neighbor, 70-year-old vet Tom Reynolds, scuffled with workers, and Emma's video of it exploded online. Richard panicked as his company's stock dipped. Edward promised to cover up, unaware I was recording. Sarah found a fatal flaw. The road sale skipped a mandatory 60-day public comment period. "It's void," she said. I told her to wait, let them dig deeper. A week after the fence, I struck. Sarah filed for an injunction to stop construction and void Edward's appointment. Nathan's article, "Land Heist, the plot to steal a historic ranch," exposed the forgery, bribes, and shell companies, hitting newsstands hard. Councilman Lopez, a corruption foe, called an emergency board meeting. The HOA unraveled. Victoria's allies quit, and Martin offered to snitch for immunity. At the board meeting, I walked in, suited up, badge gleaming. "I'm Daniel Carter, Land Commissioner. I never resigned." I presented the forged letter, sparking chaos. Victoria paled. Richard tried to flee. Sheriff Daniels arrived, eyeing Edward. "We're investigating forgery and fraud." Edward cracked, pointing at Richard. "He offered me $500,000. Richard snapped. "Nobody forced you." Their admissions sealed their fate. The Blackwells hired a slick lawyer, claiming the road served only me, a loophole to save the sale. Emma had an idea. "Show the ranch matters to everyone." We hosted a Farm Legacy Day, drawing 500 locals with historical tours and eco-displays. Victoria's hired security faltered as crowds poured in. I revealed a 1970s historical site designation on my land, making the road public by law. Victoria screamed fraud, but Sheriff Daniels backed me. Richard admitted defeat, whispering, "We've lost." A week later, the board finalized a settlement. The fence came down, the road returned to public use, and Richard's deals faced state scrutiny. Victoria resigned, Edward got probation, and Mayor Thompson's career tanked. My ranch became a community hub, with a garden and monthly events. Emma chose to study environmental law, inspired to fight for justice. The Blackwells moved away, and their empire crumbled. As their truck passed, Victoria met my gaze. For a moment, she saw it. Land isn't power, it's legacy. Real community isn't fences, it's connection. What do you think? Was my strategy ruthless or righteous? Should I have shown mercy to the HOA? Drop your thoughts below, and let's debate. Is playful deception fair in a fight for justice, or does it blur the line? Comment to keep this story trending. YouTube loves engagement.